Hey, Ray Halbrook here from Livestream STL. We're here with our Slam Spotlight again, and we have over, way over in the other part of St. Louis here, Myrt Davis, our coach, one of our assistant coaches here for the St. Louis Slam. How you doing, Myrt?
I'm great, Ray. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for catching up with us. And we're just going to talk a little bit about, you are one of the most tenured players and coaches, so to speak, here for the Slam. Been here since the inaugural season back in 2003. Is that correct?
That is correct. You're letting everybody know how old I am at this point.
Well, as the most tenured player and coach, you've probably seen it all from the very, very beginning here. You've won a championship with the Slam, won three championships as a coach. How did you find out about the Slam in the very, very beginning?
So I started playing in a flag league. I played women's flag football here in St. Louis, and I've loved football since I was a kid. It was my passion, something I always wanted to do. And my dad had the heartbreaking revelation to me that women couldn't play football. There was no outlet for it. So when I found flag, that was fantastic. And as flag moved on, some of the women in the flag league were interested in tackle football, and they found out that there was a league around the nation. It was the National Women's Football Association. They reached out to Catherine Masters, who at the time was the owner of that league, and encouraged her to bring a team to St. Louis, that there would be interest in it. Um, After a lot of conversation, she did, and I was part of that first push for it. And then when the first tryout happened, I jumped on board and have been there ever since.
Awesome, awesome. So, talk to us. How long did you play for the Slam, and then how did the transition into coaching happen?
So I played for about 15 seasons, and as we get older, our bodies are just not designed to take that kind of beating,
Sure.
day after day, game after game. I'd had a couple of unfortunate injuries. My final season in 2017, I had a pretty bad dislocation of my right shoulder.
Hmm.
That made the decision for me that I needed to retire and hang it up. I still loved the team, the dynamic, the sport so much that I wanted to continue to give to it. And Quincy Davis, our head coach, first of all, what an honor it has been to play for him. And now it's even a bigger honor for me to coach with him. So to have that opportunity, to have him welcome me, to help with the team, and then move into coaching has been phenomenal. So that's kind of how that transition happened. I'm just that fly that won't go away.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I can understand that. What did the evolution look like throughout the years? You've been a player, you're now a coach, and what does that evolution look like? I know obviously it's a little bit of just a process over the years. What did that look like over the years, building culture, style of play for the Slam?
So early on, there's really very little expectation because none of us knew much about the sport other than what we had seen on TV. We didn't have Pop Warner quarterback clubs to grow up in, so it was quite a learning curve. It was learn as you go. And in those early years, our coaches at the time were not seasoned in football coaching, but they did the best they could. So we started as bare bones as you can imagine. There wasn't a lot of interest in it. There wasn't a lot of fan support other than family members. So we kind of scraped by. We played on grass fields. We striped our own fields. We painted our own bleachers. There was cranking of construction lights to use for lights during the night. So it was as rudimentary as you can imagine. So to go from that to where we are now, where women's football and women's sports in general have more support than they've ever had, and I expect to continue to see that to grow. It's night and day from where we came from. It really is.
Absolutely, no doubt about it, and I completely agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about that growth here in the WFA itself. What does the growth in the WFA look like over the years?
It's huge. So it started out as I wouldn't say small, but smaller than it is now. And now last I counted, I think there's around 58, 60 teams. So it has been a wild expansion of that team. When we started in the league, there was one division, and that's what we were in because there wasn't enough teams to support multiple divisions. Now there are three. And it's a great opportunity for those new teams. They start off in that third division so they can learn and grow before they play a stiffer competition. And I think it's important because it gives these women a chance to learn the sport and not be discouraged by playing a team that's above their caliber at that time.
Right. Right. It's great. That's great. And the expansion that's gone on now, they're in three divisions, and it's definitely growing and becoming a pretty popular organization. Um, let's go back to your coaching here real quick. What is your favorite part about coaching the Slam?
Um, there's a couple of things. The biggest one for me, I think, is really watching the growth of our players. To see somebody come in January, when we first start practicing, and we do some summer practicing and preseason stuff, but January is where we really get down and dirty serious about it. And have somebody come in January that has never played before, knows very little about the sport, and watch them by April and May turn into national champion contenders. It's amazing to watch that growth and watch their excitement as things start to click and they really start to learn and understand. That to me is the favorite. I also like to pass on what I've been taught. So that's another fun thing for me is to still be involved in it. While it's not physically, at least I can pass on what I've learned over the years.
Absolutely. I appreciate you sharing that with us too. We'll look at the schedule this year. We're winding things up here. Got the last game this week of the regular season. You haven't given up a freaking point. What's
We
that
have
all
not.
about? And I know there's been a couple times you've had a couple of times in the last couple games where they've gotten down to the 2 yard line, 1 yard line, and you just would not break. And I mean, it was a bend and don't break attitude. Um, you know, this has been a pretty special season. I'm sure that you could call it that. What would it mean to win a championship this season now that you've been moved up into that Division 1 for 2 years now?
Well, I think overall, our goal going into each season is always to not just make it to the championship, but to win it. So that is not an unusual expectation of our team. We expect high level. Um, but after last year not making the playoffs,
Mm-hmm.
we came into this season, the players really came in with a chip on their shoulders. They put in a lot of work during the off season to make sure that ratings did not have a hand in whether we made playoffs or not. That it was undecidedly, it was convincingly us that belonged there. So to
Right.
win the championship, it obviously would be a huge, huge deal for us, and really be extremely satisfying at this point. The 0 points thing, it wasn't an intentional plan. We always have the expectation of a shutout, um, but we try not to drill too hard on that. Our
Right.
goal for the players and their goal is to go out and perform the best possible game they can. And they've done that week after week. So um, the byproduct of the hard work that they have put in is that zero on the scoreboard and our offense marching the ball down the field and taking time off the clock.
Absolutely, and you've done a pretty good job of all of that. So kudos to the Slam, and as they go into the last game of the season here. Final question for you. We'll let you go. We appreciate you being with us again. Um, this is the Ray question. You're a brand new interviewee to me here, so we're going to give you the Ray question here. Name something that might be peculiar, or maybe a hobby or something that you either like to do or just have a big interest in that maybe your teammates, maybe the coaches don't know about.
Um, a hobby that it's kind of fallen to the wayside lately. I've been pretty busy as of late, but I do some freehand and wood burning on in my spare time. That's a hobby I
Nice.
picked up a while back and have gotten away from it. I'd really like to get back into it.
Awesome, awesome. I love that. I mean, that is something that is just not a common thing that everybody has that knack to do. So I appreciate that. Well, we appreciate the time catching up with you, and good luck to you this week as you take on the Derby City Dynamite. And thanks again for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Ray. We really appreciate your support.
Appreciate it. That is Myrt Davis from the St. Louis Slam.